Emily had finally settled on an apartment of her own, and now it was time to find some good company. And what better company than a puppy? She drove to a shelter where she knew many puppies were. There was this one puppy who caught her eye. He had this strange thing on his head, and she couldn't tell exactly what it was. After looking better, she immediately turned pale as tears started to form in her eyes. She couldn't believe what she saw as the dog turned around to face her. The beautiful side profile of the puppy was suddenly disturbed by the harsh realities of its face. The cutie still wagged its tail at the sight of Emily, but everything started to get too much. All Emily could think of was, poor puppy. She had to find out what had happened. She marched over to a worker, needing to understand what happened to the darling in the corner, but instead of the puppy staying there, it now seemed to follow Emily. It broke her heart, but she saw how the little one was already partially attached to her. She demanded to know what had transpired in the dog's past, but when the carer told her, she turned pale, tears slipping from her eyes. Though the shelter worker diligently answered her questions about the dog, it only left her with more. However, she knew that the worker she talked to could never answer them. Who could do such a thing? Would this puppy even make it to an older age? And most importantly, why had the sight of the puppy moved her so? After breaking up with her ex-boyfriend, Mike, Emily had only recently moved into her new apartment. She soon found that the apartment that she lived in was too large for her to live in by herself. She needed company. Having sworn off men for the time being, especially after the disaster that was her past relationships, she knew she had to find another solution. She had to think about it and stared at the space that she had. Maybe she could have a hamster or a rabbit? Emily quickly shook her head. She needed something more adventurous to get her out of the house. Then it struck her. Mike had always banned her from getting a dog, but now that she was alone, he wasn't there to stop her. She knew what she had to do. She quickly went on her computer, trying to find a shelter near her. What if she could adopt a puppy? She was ecstatic about the idea. She had always loved dogs, and the idea of raising a puppy and being there for the entirety of the dog's life warmed something in her heart. After nearly a lifetime of restrictions from partners, she knew what she had to do for herself. After finding multiple shelters and looking on their sites what their kennels held, she knew which one to go to. Seeing the large array of puppies plastered on their site, she knew one of them would finally find their forever home with her, or should she say, forever home. She quickly gathered her bag, adamant to meet the little pup, without knowing what she would face when she arrived. However, before going there, she quickly went to the pet shop. If there was a possibility of her taking one of them home, she had to make sure that she would have everything she could need in her home already. She knew she would need things like a crate, a dog bed, bowls, chew toys, a collar and leash, a travel crate, treats, and, most importantly, dog food. Inside the store, there were many things to choose from, but eventually she made the decision, paid for the stuff, put it in the car, and continued to the shelter. Now, the nerves were starting to get her. She hoped to connect to a pup straight away. Not only did she want to like a pup, but she also wanted the pup to like her. It made her a bit nervous. Regardless of her nerves, however, she parked her car in the parking lot and walked into the animal shelter. She saw many posters advertising to adopt an animal, the largest one depicting a kid with a Labrador puppy with the slogan, "Adopt, don't shop." Emily agreed with this and made her way to the receptionist. She was ready. "Good morning," Emily exclaimed when she reached the receptionist, who offered her a kind smile in return. "Morning, miss. How can I help you?" Emily tried not to fidget with her hands as she calmed her nerves. She was just so excited. "I am interested in adopting a dog," she said. She had been so innocent about it all as she had no clue what she would face in there. The receptionist clapped happily in her hands at Emily's words. "Miss, you have absolutely perfect timing. We just got new puppies," the woman said. Emily's smile became even broader. "That was such exciting news." "That is great to hear. I would love to see them," Emily said before being led to the dog area. However, there she would get the scare of her life. Emily had followed the worker who escorted her from the reception desk to the dog shelter. As she entered, she heard the various different barkings of the dogs, and it felt like she was in heaven. She saw many cute animals, and her eyes widened at the sight. Yet, unbeknownst to her, she would soon find she wasn't in heaven but in hell. She met many dogs, some larger, some smaller. A few of them were a bit older, but Emily noticed there was an abundance of puppies in the kennel. Of one thing she was certain, she would definitely take one home today. All of them seemed to be excited to see her, which melted her heart. but she couldn't help but spot a puppy in the distance, the color of its fur familiar to her. The cutie in the corner looked beautiful. Its coat shone even if she only saw its left side. It reminded her of something from her past, and Emily moved towards the creature. She held out her hand for the puppy to sniff it. The puppy's tail began to wag as it let out a cute whine. Emily's lips couldn't smile wider, or that was until the puppy turned to face her, which made her gasp as she saw the puppy's whole face. What was the meaning of this? Emily's drive home was a blur, her mind echoing with the image of the puppy's face. Each time she closed her eyes, she saw it, that scar, twisting across the young dog's features. It was as if the puppy's eyes followed her, pleading for understanding, for compassion. The memory clung to her, a ghostly presence that refused to be dismissed by the passing scenery or the radio's chatter. In the quiet of her bedroom, darkness enveloped Emily, yet sleep eluded her. The puppy's image invaded her thoughts, casting a shadow over the room. She tossed and turned, her heart aching with an unexplained sorrow. The faint echo of a whine seemed to drift in the air, a reminder of the encounter that now haunted her dreams. Restlessness consumed her, the puppy's face a constant, unsettling vision. As dawn broke, Emily found herself awash in memories of her childhood. Fragments of days spent in sunlit fields with a playful companion flickered through her mind. She couldn't grasp the connection, but something about the puppy's face stirred these long-forgotten images. They were like puzzle pieces from a different life, fitting strangely with her encounter at the shelter, evoking feelings she couldn't quite place. Throughout her day, Emily couldn't shake the feeling of melancholy that had settled over her. At work, amidst the clatter of keyboards and ringing phones, the puppy's face surfaced in her thoughts, bringing a wave of inexplicable sadness. Her colleagues' laughter sounded distant, muffled by the echo of that haunting encounter. She felt adrift, tethered to a memory that seemed to grow heavier with each passing hour. In the evening, Emily tried to distract herself. A movie, a book, even aimless scrolling through her phone. Nothing could dislodge the image of the puppy from her mind. Her apartment, usually a haven, now felt empty, echoing with a sense of something missing, something unfulfilled. The puppy's face, marred yet innocent, lingered at the edge of her consciousness, an unresolved mystery that tugged at her heartstrings. Sitting in her quiet living room, Emily pondered over her life since the breakup. The walls of her apartment, once filled with laughter and conversation, now echoed back her solitary thoughts. She longed for a presence to fill the void, a companion to share her days. The loneliness seemed to amplify in the silence, reminding her of the emptiness that had crept into her life. Emily's thoughts drifted to the idea of a pet. She envisioned a furry companion to greet her at the door, a warm, comforting presence to break the monotony of her days. The thought brought a flicker of warmth to her heart. She yearned not just for the playful antics of a pet, but for the emotional support, the unspoken understanding, and the unconditional love they offered. As she sat wrapped in a blanket, Emily's mind circled back to the shelter visit. Why had that particular puppy affected her so deeply? She wrestled with a myriad of emotions: pity, sadness, a strange sense of connection. The more she thought about it, the more she realized there was something profound in that moment, a feeling that transcended mere sympathy. Lying in bed that night, memories of her childhood pets surfaced in Emily's mind. She remembered the joy and comfort they brought, the sense of companionship. In the soft glow of the moonlight, she drew parallels between those cherished memories and her current longing. It dawned on her that perhaps, in seeking a pet, she was reaching for a piece of her past. By the time the first light of dawn crept through her curtains, Emily had an epiphany. Her desire for a pet was not just about filling the silence of her apartment. It was about healing. It was a step towards mending the pieces of her broken heart, a path to moving forward. She realized that in caring for another being, she might find a way to care for herself, too. Over coffee, Emily opened up to her friend Sarah about the shelter visit. She shared the tumult of emotions that the encounter with the puppy had stirred within her. Sarah listened intently as Emily detailed her longing for companionship, her poignant experience at the shelter, and the indecision that now clouded her thoughts. It was a relief to voice her feelings, to not carry the weight alone. Sarah, with a comforting smile, encouraged Emily. "Follow your heart," she said. "If this puppy has touched you so deeply, maybe there's a reason for it." Her words were like a beacon in Emily's fog of doubt. She reminded Emily of the joy and love a pet could bring into her life and how rewarding the bond between a human and their pet could be. Despite Sarah's encouragement, Emily couldn't help but voice her apprehensions. "Am I ready for this? What if I fail as a pet owner?" she pondered aloud. The responsibility of caring for a living being weighed heavily on her, bringing forth fears of inadequacy and the uncertainty of facing this new challenge alone. Sarah listened, understanding the depth of Emily's concerns. As they continued their conversation, Sarah helped Emily see things from a different perspective. "Think of all the love and care you have to offer," she suggested. She pointed out Emily's strengths and her capacity for empathy and care. Gradually, Emily began to see that her fears, though valid, were not insurmountable obstacles but part of a natural process of embracing change. By the end of their meeting, Emily felt a renewed sense of confidence. Sarah's words had a profound effect, bolstering her spirit. The idea of adopting a puppy, once a source of anxiety, now seemed like a bright possibility, a step towards healing and happiness. Emily left the cafe with a lighter heart, a sense of purpose slowly taking root within her. In the quiet of her apartment, Emily made a decision. She would adopt a dog. This resolve filled her with a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in a long time. The doubts and fears that had clouded her thoughts began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of clarity and determination. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to embrace this new responsibility. Emily began transforming her apartment into a welcoming space for her future pet. She set up a cozy bed in a sunny corner and placed water and food bowls in the kitchen. Each preparation was a step towards a life she had only dreamed of, a life filled with the joy and love that only a pet could bring. The anticipation brought a smile to her face. As she prepared, Emily's heart swelled with excitement at the thought of the companionship to come. She imagined long walks in the park, playful afternoons, and quiet evenings with a loyal friend by her side. The prospect of sharing her life with a dog brought a sense of joy and fulfillment she hadn't felt in a long time. With each passing day, Emily felt more empowered by her decision. She realized that in choosing to adopt, she was not only rescuing a pet but also taking a significant step towards her own happiness. It was a declaration of her independence and her ability to shape her future, a future filled with hope and new possibilities. Ready to embark on this new chapter, Emily knew it was time to return to the shelter. With a heart full of hope, she envisioned meeting her new companion, a meeting that would mark the beginning of a beautiful journey together. As she prepared to leave, she felt a profound sense of connection to the path she had chosen, a path towards love and healing. With a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation, Emily returned to the shelter. Her steps were purposeful, her heart full of resolve. As she walked through the doors, the familiar sounds and sights of the shelter greeted her. This time, she felt a sense of certainty. She was not just a visitor, she was there to welcome a new life into her own. Inside the shelter, Emily approached the puppy that had captured her heart. Kneeling down, she was met with an enthusiastic tail wag and a pair of bright, trusting eyes. The adoption process was a blur of paperwork and heartfelt advice from the shelter staff. As she signed the last document, a wave of happiness washed over her. The puppy was officially hers. Emily's car ride home was filled with an air of excitement, the puppy curiously peering out of the window. Once home, she gently introduced the puppy to its new environment. The puppy sniffed around, exploring every nook and cranny with an adorable sense of wonder. Emily watched, her heart swelling with love, knowing that this was the beginning of a beautiful bond. The first few hours were a dance of discovery for both Emily and the puppy. Each room was a new adventure, every object a potential plaything. The puppy's playful energy brought a new light to the apartment, its paws patting softly on the floor, its little noises filling the space with life. Emily watched, amused and content, as the puppy claimed the space as its own. As the day came to a close, Emily reflected on the journey that led her to this moment. The shelter workers' smiles and well wishes echoed in her mind, a testament to the joy of giving a loving home to a pet in need. As she watched the puppy doze off in its new bed, Emily felt a profound sense of fulfillment. It was not just an end to a day, but the start of a new, joyful chapter in their lives. Emily and the puppy embarked on a journey of mutual discovery. Emily learned the puppy's quirks, its favorite spot by the window, the excited dance at mealtimes, and the gentle nudge of its nose when it sought attention. In turn, the puppy learned to recognize Emily's voice, her footsteps, and the comfort of her presence. Each day brought new insights into their shared life. House training was a mix of patience, persistence, and a few comical mishaps. Emily found herself armed with cleaning supplies and treats, navigating the tricky waters of potty training. There were accidents, of course. A puddle here, a mischievous look there, but each was met with good humor and gentle guidance. The puppy's eager-to-please nature made these challenges more endearing than frustrating. Emily's first vet visit with the puppy was a mixture of nerves and excitement. The clinic was a new world of smells and sounds for the puppy, which it approached with cautious curiosity. The vet's gentle manner and kind words put them both at ease. Emily listened attentively, absorbing advice on nutrition, health, and care. It was reassuring to know that the puppy was healthy and thriving. The bond between Emily and the puppy grew with each shared moment. The puppy's playful antics, chasing its tail, the enthusiastic greeting after Emily's return from work, or the quiet companionship while she read, brought laughter and light into her life. Each game, each cuddle, each shared glance deepened the connection between them, weaving a tapestry of affection and understanding. As days turned into weeks, Emily and the puppy grew together, forming an unbreakable bond. The puppy's trust and affection were evident in its bright eyes and wagging tail. For Emily, the puppy was more than a pet. It was a friend, a confidant, a source of unconditional love. Their relationship was a beautiful blend of care, companionship, and the simple joys of life shared. Sometimes, as Emily watched the puppy play or sleep, she was struck by a sense of familiarity when her gaze fell upon the scar. It seemed oddly reminiscent, stirring a vague memory she couldn't quite pinpoint. This fleeting recognition was puzzling, as if the scar was a silent messenger from a forgotten chapter of her life, whispering secrets she couldn't quite grasp. During quiet moments, Emily experienced flashes of déjà vu while observing the puppy. It was in the way it tilted its head or in the softness of its eyes. These instances were brief but intense, leaving her with a mixture of wonder and perplexity. It felt as if she had lived these moments before, a strange loop in time connecting her to the puppy in an inexplicable way. Initially, Emily tried to dismiss these feelings as mere coincidences. She told herself that it was just the newness of pet ownership, the adjustment to having a life so intricately intertwined with hers. She focused on the day-to-day joys and challenges, pushing aside the nagging thoughts that there was something more, something deeper in her connection with the puppy. Over time, however, Emily's curiosity about the scar began to grow. She found herself wondering about its origin, about what story it held. It wasn't just a mark on the puppy's fur. It felt like a key to a mystery, an unexplored part of the puppy's life that somehow seemed significant to her own. This growing intrigue nudged her towards seeking out the truth. Finally, Emily decided she needed to know more. The unanswered questions about the puppy's past, especially the scar, became too compelling to ignore. She planned a visit back to the shelter, hoping to uncover the story behind the puppy's early life. It was a step driven by a blend of concern, affection, and a deep-seated need to understand the invisible threads that seemed to connect her to the puppy. With a heart full of questions, Emily returned to the shelter. The familiar sights and sounds greeted her, but this time her visit was driven by a quest for understanding. She approached the reception, her voice steady yet filled with anticipation. She needed to know the story behind the puppy's scar, the untold chapters of its young life before it had become a part of hers. The shelter worker, recognizing Emily, greeted her warmly. As Emily inquired about the puppy's past, the worker's expression turned somber. She learned of the puppy's rescue from a dire situation, a tale of neglect and mistreatment that culminated in the scar she had wondered about. The truth was harsh, a stark contrast to the loving environment she had provided for the puppy. The worker explained why they hadn't disclosed the puppy's past initially. They wanted the puppy to have a fresh start, to be seen not as a victim of its past but as a hopeful being deserving of love and care. They believed in allowing the puppy's future to be defined by its new life, not shadowed by the trauma it had endured. Emily listened, a mix of sadness and understanding in her heart. She realized the shelter's intentions were kind-hearted, aiming to give the puppy and its new owner a chance to bond without preconceptions. She began to see the puppy's journey as one of resilience and renewal, a testament to the puppy's strength and its ability to thrive in the face of adversity. As she left the shelter, Emily's mind was a whirlwind of emotions. The revelation about the puppy's past stirred something within her. It was as if understanding the puppy's journey was helping her to piece together a puzzle in her own life. This newfound knowledge, though painful, brought a sense of clarity, hinting at the deeper connection she felt with the puppy. At home, Emily found herself delving into old family albums. As she flipped through the pages, a photo of her childhood dog caught her eye. The dog's joyful expression, its stance, even its gaze, all eerily mirrored her new puppy. Memories of her childhood companion, long tucked away in the recesses of her heart, flooded back with surprising intensity. Studying the photo more closely, Emily was struck by a startling realization. Her childhood dog had borne a similar scar, a distinctive mark that she had nearly forgotten. The resemblance between the scar on her old dog and her new puppy was uncanny. This small yet significant detail sent a shiver down her spine, linking her present to her past in an unexpected way. The more Emily compared her puppy with the images of her childhood dog, the more undeniable the similarities became. It was not just the scar. It was the way they held their heads, the expressions in their eyes, the way they moved. The resemblance was so profound it seemed beyond mere coincidence, as if the universe had woven their lives together across time. With this revelation, Emily began to understand her intense emotional reaction upon first seeing the puppy at the shelter. Her heart had recognized what her mind hadn't, a connection that transcended time, a bond that felt familiar yet new. The puppy wasn't just a new companion. It was a bridge to cherished memories, a soothing balm to her longing heart. Embracing this profound connection, Emily felt a sense of peace wash over her. She accepted that her past and present were intertwined in a way she never would have imagined. This unexpected twist of fate, this serendipitous link to her beloved childhood dog, had brought more than just a pet into her life. It had